Asterisk, the sun was sinking behind the skyline of cold glass towers and iron fences. In the wealthiest district of the city, the roads were lined with perfectly trimmed hedges, stone lions guarding iron gates, and security cameras that blinked red like mechanical eyes. But just beyond the illusion of luxury, in the alleys where the shadows swallowed even the light, a boy moved silently, barefoot. Thin and dark-skinned, with the hunger of a survivor burning in his chest. Asterisk, his name was Elijah. 12 years old, no home, no family, no excuses. His eyes were older than his body, sharp, observing everything. He didn't beg. He didn't whine. He survived. And today he was after leftovers. Asterisk, Elijah knew the routines of the rich. When the maids took out the trash, they threw away food. That was more beautiful than anything he'd seen in weeks. Untouched pasta, steaks barely sliced, desserts still in crystal dishes. They didn't toss it out of neglect. They tossed it because they could. Asterisk, as he approached the gates of the Blake mansion. A sprawling white beast of a home wrapped in vines and bitterness, he kept his head low. Alexandra Blake, the woman who lived there, was known in headlines once as the golden fingers of the piano. A musical genius, a child prodigy turned international icon. But that was before the accident. Asterisk 2 years ago, her limousine flipped on an icy bridge. Her spine was shattered. The world gasped, and then moved on. Asterisk, she didn't. Her legs never moved again. And slowly, neither did her soul. Asterisk, since then, she'd been locked inside that mansion like a ghost haunting her own body. She refused therapy, refused visitors, and fired anyone who smiled too much. Her face hadn't known joy in 700 days. Even the birds avoided her window. Asterisk, but Elijah wasn't afraid of ghosts. He believed broken things could whisper secrets the whole world forgot to hear. Asterisk, from behind the hedge, he waited for the cook to toss out the day's waste, and there it was, a sealed bag. Heavy, still warm. He moved forward with the stealth of someone who knew what hunger could make others do. Asterisk, but he wasn't fast enough. Asterisk, the private nurse, an uptight woman with stiff posture and a judgmental nose, stepped outside and spotted him. Asterisk, get out of here, she barked, stepping forward. Elijah stood his ground. He didn't run. Asterisk, instead, he looked up. Asterisk, in that moment, high above on the second floor, a curtain shifted. And behind the tall glass window, Alexandra Blake stared down at him from her wheelchair. Her eyes were sharp, hollow, bored. He raised his chin and called out with a voice that didn't tremble. Asterisk, I'll heal you. Asterisk, there was a pause. The wind slowed. The street stilled. Asterisk, the nurse scoffed. What? He repeated louder. I said I'll heal her, in exchange for leftovers. Asterisk, the nurse laughed. It was the first honest laugh that House had heard in a long time. Ugly, rude, dismissive. Asterisk, she doesn't need your spells, you little thief. Asterisk, but up in the window, Alexandra tilted her head. She hadn't moved that fast in months. Asterisk, something about the boy's voice, not just the words, stopped. Her breath. It wasn't pity, it wasn't charm. It was certainty. Asterisk, she pressed a button. The intercom crackled. Bring him in, she said, startling even herself. The nurse turned. You're serious? Asterisk, I said bring him in. Asterisk, the gates opened. Slowly, asterisk, Elijah didn't flinch. He stepped through, barefoot on marble, eyes straight ahead. He passed water fountains carved in the shape of angels. He passed paintings worth more than his entire bloodline. But he didn't stare. Asterisk, he entered. The house like a healer, not a beggar. Asterisk, inside the drawing room, Alexandra sat by the fireplace. Her legs draped in a soft cashmere blanket. Her hair was up in a messy bun. Her fingers were still graceful, but always clenched. Elijah stopped 5 feet from her. She stared at him. He stared back, no words. Finally she asked, You're going to heal me how? With magic beans and sidewalk prayers? Elijah smiled. No, I'm going to show you the part of you that got hurt before your legs did. Asterisk, she scoffed. Cute? Asterisk, not cute, he replied calmly. True. A strange silence followed. He looked around. Asterisk, no one in this house talks to your pain. They just try to cover it with pills and pillows. He looked at the fireplace. I talk to it and it listens to me. Asterisk Alexandra blinked, unsure whether to laugh, cry, or order him out. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. Asterisk, it was crooked, faint, rusty, like an old door being opened for the first time. Asterisk, fine, she said. You want leftovers? Heal me. Let's see what kind of street magic you've got. Elijah bowed slightly. Tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow, but tonight. I'll take the bread pudding you were going to waste. Asterisk, she laughed again. And for a woman who thought she'd never laugh again. That was the beginning of everything. Asterisk, the next morning arrived with a fog that hung low over the marble roof like a warning. Inside the Blake mansion, the mood was stiff. The staff whispered about the boy like he was a myth, a street kid daring to walk through the halls of a woman whose touch once moved nations to tears. But Elijah wasn't scared. Asterisk, he stepped inside again, barefoot as always. In his hand was a cloth bag, worn, patched, and filled with strange objects, broken mirrors, melted wax stubs, a pouch of salt, a feather, a piece of charcoal, a string of red beads, a cracked compass, and a rusted key. The nurse glared at him. The cook rolled his eyes. Asterisk, the housekeeper muttered, "This is madness." Asterisk, but Alexandra waited in the library. It had been her sanctuary once, floor-to-ceiling shelves, the smell of oak and faded musical scores stacked like forgotten letters. She sat in her wheelchair by the window, a silk robe over her legs, a cup of untouched tea beside her. Asterisk, he walked in and didn't bow. He didn't even greet her. He simply placed a mirror, the size of her palm, cracked down the center, on the table in front of her. She raised a brow. What's that supposed to do? Show me how old I've gotten. Elijah didn't flinch. Look into it, he said calmly, and tell me what you see. She scoffed, but picked it up. My face, my wrinkles, my useless legs. He shook his head. That's the problem. You don't see you. You only see what the world told you was broken. She placed the mirror down harder than needed. You're not a therapist, Elijah. Asterisk, I'm not, he said. I'm something older. Something you forgot when you became famous. I'm the question that never left your heart. Asterisk, she stared at him. Her face, still regal but worn, softened just slightly. Asterisk, what do you want me to do? Asterisk, he sat on the floor. Crossed legs, calm. Asterisk, we'll do one thing each day. One question. One memory, no medicine, just truth. Asterisk, she hesitated. Then whispered, Asterisk, what kind of truth? Asterisk, Elijah pulled out a piece of black charcoal and began drawing on the wooden floor. Circles, spirals, a small door. He pointed at it. Today we start here. Memory number 1, the first lie you ever told about yourself? She froze. He waited. Asterisk. You were what, 6? He prompted. 8? Asterisk. Alexandra leaned back slowly. The room grew colder. She closed her eyes. I was 7. My father asked me if I liked playing piano. I said, yes. Asterisk. Elijah nodded. But? Asterisk. I didn't. I hated it. I wanted to paint or dance. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to be messy. Asterisk. Her hands trembled slightly. Asterisk. He said I was special. He said I would be famous. And when I played, he smiled for the first time in months. So I kept playing and playing until I forgot what my own voice sounded like. Elijah placed a piece of red thread in her lap. That's where we start. You didn't lose your legs in that crash. You started losing yourself at 7. She looked at the thread, then at him. Where did you learn all this? He shrugged. People who live on the street. They hear things no one else does. Pain speaks louder when the world stops pretending. She touched the red thread. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from recognition. Asterisk. That night, Elijah sat across from her, and they lit a candle together. No ceremony, no chanting, just silence. She whispered, Do you think I can really heal? Asterisk. Elijah didn't promise miracles. He simply said, Asterisk, I think if your heart starts walking first, your legs might follow. Asterisk. And for the first time in years, Alexandra slept through the night, not as a patient, Not as a prisoner, but as a woman finally beginning to feel again. Asterisk. The days turned into weeks. Asterisk each morning. Elijah came with something strange in his bag, a poem written on cardboard, a feather dipped in ink, a broken compass, dried orange peels, or a children's lullaby scribbled in his crooked handwriting. Alexandra never knew what he would bring, but every day he came with a new ritual. And every day something inside her cracked open just a little more. Asterisk. But outside the mansion, the world had begun to notice. Asterisk. A camera crew caught a photo. Alexandra Blake, the once glamorous icon of wealth and art, now sharing her time with a ragged black child from the streets. The media pounced. Headlines screamed, greater than "From fame to folly, Alexandra's witch doctor is a child." Asterisk. Healer or hustler? Meet the boy living off a billionaire's pity. Asterisk. Street magic or mental breakdown? What's going on inside Blake? Manor? On social media, people mocked. He's conning her. Can't believe she's falling for that street voodoo? Asterisk. Is this a Netflix documentary or a real-life breakdown? Asterisk. Even old friends began calling. Some came to the mansion, hoping to intervene. Asterisk. First came Miranda, an old pianist friend, still polished, still proper. She sat across from Alexandra with tight lips and condescending sympathy. Asterisk. You're in pain, Miranda said softly. I get that, but this is not how you heal. This boy is a con artist. Alexandra didn't flinch. Miranda continued. You were the youngest soloist at the Royal Albert Hall. You made symphonies wept too. And now you sit around drawing chalk circles and talking about emotions like they're medicine? Alexandra looked her dead in the eye and replied, And still, you've never asked me how I feel? Miranda's mouth opened, then closed. Alexandra rolled her wheelchair away without another word. Asterisk. The following day, the board of the Blake Foundation called. Lawyers warned her that her image was deteriorating. Donors were backing out. Stockholders were anxious. Asterisk. They advised. Cut ties, remove the boy. Publish a statement. Asterisk. That night, Elijah arrived to find Alexandra staring blankly at the fireplace. No candles lit, no objects out, just silence. She didn't greet him. He didn't ask what was wrong. Asterisk. Instead, he pulled out a roll of parchment and unrolled it on the floor. It was a crude drawing of a mountain, a figure climbing it, a storm above, and a flame at the peak. He said nothing. She finally asked, What is that? He whispered, This is the hill you're on. They want you to come down because they can't handle your climb? She looked down, tears brimming in her eyes. I'm tired, Elijah. I'm tired of fighting, tired of being seen as broken. And now, as insane? He walked over, placed a small blue stone in her palm. This is your silence. It's heavy, but it's yours. And now you've chosen to speak. She gripped the stone tightly, her lips trembling. He continued, asterisk, They don't hate your pain. They hate that you stopped hiding it. Asterisk. Alexandra broke down, not with sobs, but quiet, slow weeping. Like a river carving its way through rock. Asterisk. Elijah didn't move. He didn't console, he just sat with her. And that, more than anything, was healing. Asterisk. The next morning, she did something unthinkable. Asterisk. She wheeled herself into the main foyer where the staff had gathered and said calmly, asterisk, From today, Elijah is not a guest. He is my healer. He is to be respected. Anyone who cannot handle that is free to resign. The silence in the room was thunderous. 2 servants walked out. The rest stayed that afternoon. Elijah brought a piece of music with no notes, just blank staff lines. He handed it to her. Asterisk. She asked, What is this? He smiled. The music you'll write when no one is watching. The song of your real self. She stared at the page, and for the first time in years, she reached for a pen. It began with a dream. Alexandra hadn't dreamed in years. Not since the crash. Not since the metal twisted around her spine and doctors told her she'd never walk again. But that night, after Elijah handed her the blank music sheet and whispered, Write your own sound, she had a dream so vivid. It bled into reality. Asterisk. She saw herself as a little girl, 7 years old, running through the fields behind her childhood home, barefoot. The wind whipping through her curls, her arms stretched wide as if trying to fly. In the dream, she wasn't paralyzed. She wasn't famous. She wasn't broken. She was free. She woke up gasping. The morning light crept through the sheer curtains. Dust floated in golden rays like little spirits watching over her. For a moment she forgot where she was, forgot the weight of the mansion, the pain in her legs, the years of silence. Her body felt different, light. She glanced at her feet, then she blinked. Her right toe twitched. A single, unmistakable movement, sharp, responsive, real, her breath caught in her throat. Was it a spasm? A trick of the mind? She sat up slightly, took a deep breath, and whispered, do it again. Nothing. She placed her hands on her knees, closed her eyes, focused, and then, with a slow shiver, her ankle moved. Not much, but enough to awaken the sleeping fire within her soul, she screamed. A raw, primal, electric scream. Elijah! The house stirred. Elijah came running up the staircase, 2 steps at a time. He barged into the room, expecting danger. But what he found was Alexandra, face wet with tears, eyes wide with something he had never seen in her before. Hope, I moved, she gasped. My leg, it moved. Elijah didn't cheer. He didn't shout, he simply smiled, deep, calm, as if he'd known this day would come. I told you, he said softly. Your heart had to walk first. But Alexandra wasn't done. She gritted her teeth and placed her palms flat on the bed. Her arms trembled under the weight of her body. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Elijah, she whispered. Help. Me up. His smile faded. He stepped closer, serious now. Are you sure? She looked him dead in the eyes. I haven't been sure of anything in my life except this. He gently slid one arm behind her back and one beneath her knees. Carefully, slowly, he lifted her off the bed and lowered her to the floor. Her legs folded beneath her like paper. Her breath came in short gasps. Her body shook. Pain screamed through her spine. But something inside her burned hotter than the pain. Purpose. She reached for the bedpost, gripped it, locked her elbows. Her legs twitched again. Her knees shifted forward. Her toes gripped the carpet. She pushed an inch, then another, then she rose, like a candle being lit after years of darkness. Like a flower blooming through concrete. Like a queen reclaiming her throne. She stood, not perfectly, not without tremble, not without tears, but she stood. Elijah stood back, eyes wide with awe, lips parted in silence. This wasn't magic. It wasn't science. It was something deeper, something sacred. A soul remembering its power. Alexandra let out a cry, not of pain but triumph. I am standing, she whispered. Do you see me? I am standing. The nurse, who had just entered with a tray of tea, dropped it. The sound of shattering porcelain echoed through the room like applause. The staff rushed in. Some gasped. Some wept. A few clapped. One man fell to his knees and crossed himself, but Alexandra didn't notice. She only looked at Elijah. You did this? She said. He shook his head. No, he replied. You did. They embraced. Not as child and patient, not as street boy and billionaire, but as 2 souls who had pulled each other from the fire. In that moment, everything changed. Not just her legs, but her life. The press conference was unlike anything the media had expected. They were told that Alexandra Blake, the once paralyzed, long-vanished queen of classical music, would be speaking live for the first time in years. Rumors swirled. Some said she was dying, others thought she was broke. A few whispered she had lost her mind completely. But when the velvet curtains parted on that grand stage downtown, under a spotlight framed by gold drapery, what the world saw stunned them into silence. She walked onto the stage. No wheelchair, no assistance, no cane. Each step was shaky but real. Each movement deliberate, a declaration of survival, of rebellion against every medical certainty. Gasps filled the room. Cameras clicked like machine guns. Journalists pushed forward. Alexandra. Blake stood behind the podium, elegant, glowing, powerful. Her once fragile body now looked like it carried the weight of every scar proudly. In her hand she held a single sheet of paper, no speech, just a name. Behind her stood Elijah, in a simple black suit, his hair combed neatly, shoes slightly too big for his feet. But he stood tall, not as a charity case, but as the reason she had walked again. She leaned toward the microphone. Her voice was soft at first, but carried the authority of someone who had known silence too long. I used to believe my life ended the day I lost the use of my legs. I had everything, wealth, fame, a name that opened doors and closed mouths. But what I didn't have was peace. I had applause. But not joy. Comfort. But no connection. And then he walked into my life. She turned slightly toward Elijah, not with money, not with credentials, but with honesty. A boy who asked for nothing but my leftovers and gave me back my life. Her voice grew stronger now. This child didn't heal my legs, he healed my will. He found the part of me I buried in fear, and he dug it out, piece by painful. Peace. When the world called him a thief, he offered truth. When they mocked him, he listened. When I was a shell of a woman, he made me feel human again. She paused. The room was silent. Some reporters wiped their eyes. Others simply stared in disbelief. Today I walk not just because of miracles, but because of meaning. Because I remembered who I was before the world told me who to be. She held up the sheet of paper. It had one line written in gold lettering, the Elijah Foundation. This will be my legacy, she said. Not a new album, not another tour, but a healing center built for children like him, for the unheard, the unseen. The ones with wisdom no classroom can teach. We will train emotional healers, spiritual therapists, street psychologists, because sometimes healing comes not from degrees, but from depth. The room exploded into applause, tears, clapping, even a few standing ovations. And through it all, Elijah stood there quietly, eyes wide, heart pounding. After the press cleared, after the lights dimmed, and the security escorted the last wave of cameras away, Alexandra and Elijah walked out the back door of the building into the cold evening air. She turned to him. You'll be in charge. You'll teach them what you taught me. He hesitated. I'm just a boy from the streets. She smiled. Double quotes. No, you are the voice I didn't know I needed. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a tiny object, a gold pin shaped like a grand piano, the one she used to wear during every concert before the accident. She pinned it gently on his lapel. Now it's yours. Elijah blinked. Hard, his voice was barely a whisper. Thank you. Alexandra looked at him, eyes sparkling. No, Elijah, thank you. You taught me that sometimes the best things in life come from what the world throws away.